Heyo, who's all here? We were just doing some coding in 475. Went and grabbed a snack. Some Nosa yogurt. It is so good. I'm all out though. All out. But with that, we were doing some crazy stuff in 475, getting some apps working. I think we're talking about, could we get the colors to change on an app? Could we get, what else were we talking about? Ella, great to see you here. Ella, drop those questions in the chat, whatever you're wondering. 320, 475, whatever you're wondering. We might start off here with a little bit of shiny, but Ella dropped those questions, I think 320. So put those questions in the chat. We're going to start a little bit with shiny work right here. Maria, great to see you here too. You have questions, just put them in the chat and we will work on them. And we'll do as many as we can. I might try to go not too quick, but we'll try to do as many as we can. So let's start off with some 475 cool shiny apps. Dylan, what should we do? Question 4H, you bet. We'll do that one next here. You got it. And we're going to go right here. You know what? Color change and can text appear, disappear based on a button click. So we're going to try to do this, Ella. Are you ready? You're going to see some cool coding here, Ella. And then we're going to do 4H. And Ella, if you want, drop another one. Because Dylan, we were just finishing class and make a vector. Oh, nice. Maria's got one. Ella's got one. We're going to do Dylan's question because we were mentioning this during class. Then we're going to do Ella's question, then Maria's. And we're going to try to spend about 5-6 minutes on each. Dylan, let's try to speed run this. Are you ready, Dylan? I need some raising in the chat. Let's throw some points out to everybody. Mubot, is he awake? Here we go. Let's check this out. Mubot is awake. So here's some code. This is in the 475 class. We're going to make a shiny app. And Dylan wants to change the color of text based on a button click. So we actually wrote some code in class today. I'm going to go grab it from the Discord. You can always kind of peek into the other Discord, see what's going on. So Dylan, I'm going to use the code we wrote in the class and check this out. So this is what this code does right here. Challenge accepted, love it. So this puts it out, whatever text we put in. Does that make sense, everybody? It's going to change the color. It's got just this right here. But Dylan says, you know what? I want the color of the code to change. And I'm going to change the color of this code based on if the number is very large. So probably, or we can do a button click. It's just that the color's changed in the UI. Okay, so here's where the text output is, right, Dylan? Or watch this. I'm going to do this a really sly way. I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to do the following, Dylan. So that is where does the text out? Okay, it's second right here. Okay, that is where that ends. And I'm going to go right here. I'm going to do the following and put this right here. So Dylan, I am creating a second text with a second text color, and it's only going to be red. So we have a second text being output here, and it's going to be red right here. And it's going to be the same size, same everything, and we have a second text. So what do I need? What do I need to do this text now since I've created something? I need to what this text, Dylan. So I have a second text right here, and I need to what this text now. So I have a second text being created, and I need to what this text now because it's being displayed, but it's not being created. So I need to kind of answer right. I got the second text that needs to be created in the server. Does that make sense? We're creating in the server. Hey, Brianna, great to see you here. We're going to do some 320 here in just a moment. In 201, if you have those questions, drop them in the chat. And so what we should see right here, hopefully, is a red text. Okay, does that make sense? So we got a red text. So now we have the two colors. So we've made two colors. But Dylan, I think you know this is where we're going to do like an if and an else, right? So now we need to think about if this, do this, else do this. And so we want to look at this input ID number right here and create a reactive text. So let's say, so it's got text 1, text 2. And let's go right here and say, if input $n, which is where we're storing it, and this is the remainder of it, divided by 2 is equal to 0. This will merely just tell us if a number is even or odd. And so if you put here 2, that has no remainder. If you put 3, that does have a remainder. That just tells us even or odd. And we talked about that a little bit in 320 and 474. So if you haven't seen that before, don't worry. That's just a code to check to see if it has a remainder. We will run the following code. I don't think it's this easy. Because, and this is where, Dylan, I might have you even post it for me, and I might post this for you. because I think we need to put this inside of a, or let's just put the code. This is what we did last time, and it's not going to like it, right? Here's the code to run. And then else run the paste code right here. Okay. So we've replicated what we've done right here, but now we need to think about this. This object we've created right here needs to be reactive, right? So this object we've created right here needs to be reactive. So, we need to store it. I can store it. I think this will be fine. Cross your fingers, Dylan. It's probably going to leave both texts on the screen. It's a bad idea. Oh, it got mad. Can you make a reactive if statement? Yeah, let's look at reactive ifs real quickly, and then we're going to jump topics. This is a cool little experiment. Reactive ifs in Shiny. Using a reactive... Okay, here it is right here. Stack Overflow for the win. A couple problems right here. If... So render print. If this... You entered this. Okay, so here's the code right here. And so this ends right here. And they have right here that X is stored as a reactive value. And if so, we need to store the click as a reactive value. Okay, let's try one last attempt. We got one last attempt in us, and then we're heading to a new topic. Okay, so we need to take right here and put the reactive value right here. And the reactive value is going to be the store of what somebody clicks. Does that make sense? We're going to store what somebody clicks as the input $ number of clicks. And then we've got an output right here of what's going to be printed. And right here, it's going to render print it, but it's just storing the one render print. We should be able to do the render print. It might not like us to do the render print on the outside. We might be able to do this. Let's change this right here. I got an idea. Okay. If, no, we want to repeat this. Okay. And I'm missing a parentheses. And then close. Okay. And there's that. We need to call this text 1 and text 2. And we need to see if, ooh, this might actually work. No, I broke it. Well, so we're getting closer, Dylan. We're getting closer. It really didn't like it. It broke at a certain point. They're both greater than 50. Was it when I entered it in? So yeah, I know it should be, so it's got the value set to 10. Oh, they're both greater than 50, you're right. So if we do less than 50, oh. Whoa, Dylan, we just did it. Or wait, it showed red a moment ago. Or was it red the other color? Look at this. Oh my gosh. So we just did it. Yeah, 50 or less. Number. So we probably want to do the first one in red. And then we want to do the RGB. And then we go right here and say, enter a number less than 50. Put this to 1. And say, enter a number less than 50. So yeah, thank you, Brianna. That's, so you entered, you entered a number 50 or less, and then you enter in this, and it changes. You entered a number greater than 50. And we could even make one small change, which we're going to make right here. Instead, we're going to go to cat on this, and that's going to make it look a little bit nicer. And it's not going to be in quotes then. It's just going to put the text to the screen. And it says you entered a number 50 or less. And then we could enter in a number bigger. And then last but not least, we got to go over here. We just got to make this look all pretty. I'm just so happy this is working. Let's say what? Let's go here. Say what? Let's go what? And then say input $n is way more than 50. Okay. So now we go right here. Oh, wait. No, I put it in the wrong spot. All right, so there we go right here. That's the wrong spot for it. And we go right here and change this. And now you entered a number 50 or less, and then someone enters this. So there we go. So it's reactive. Snea, great to see you, Snea. They're just starting their journey, and we are figuring out some really cool stuff. Dylan asked some great questions, and we said we'd do this. We were finishing class off, and we said we'd start this. So I'm going to hop over and do some 320 now. But Dylan, let me drop this. Dylan, I'm going to message you in the Discord because I've been posting a lot in the Discord. But so Dylan, message me real quick on Discord. If you can shoot me a quick message, Dylan. Oh, here you are. I'm going to throw you the code, Dylan. I'm going to say hi. That way I can come to the message right here. But Dylan, here is the R code. It's not actually that crazy long. But there it is in the Discord for you to work with. Yep, doing 475. And now we're going to hop and do some 320. Snea, so good to see you. Let's throw 100 points for Snea showing up right here. Snea, congratulations on everything. Let's hop over here to some 320 questions. Thank you so much, everyone. I have so much fun doing that stuff. Like, when you get it to work, it's like, yes, we got some color change code. We figured it out. It was just a random question about, could we get code to color change if we have certain inputs? Now we could look at doing button change, color changes, all these different things, but that's kind of a reactive thing that changes. Ella had the next question right here. Could we do 4H on 320? You bet. So we're going to get 4H going on 320 right now. Thank you so much for everyone showing up. Tried to that was more like 10 minutes on the first topic, but I was like, we're so close. We're so close. And then we got it. It's like, yes. We're doing some R basics. So make sure to download everything. And let's get that R basics assignment open. So 320 coming right up right here. And then we have another 320. Feels so weird not taking a BS. Oh, not on YouTube? Well, we should just put them all on YouTube, right? Snea, so much. Thank you. It's amazing to me as people take my courses and then they finish and they're like, I have no more courses. I'm like, no. That's with Brian. I miss my students. Like, Snea, you've done a great job. And I'm just honored by literally, your tennis app is awesome. I still show it to students. I'm completely free the rest of the day. There's going to be so much shiny. Well, you can ask. People have been showing these in interviews if they want to share info. People have done a lot of great things by being like, here's what I've created and showing it to people because we'll be building a lot of... I've got to people now for forcing... Yes, Petrie is awesome. Shouts Petrie. Here we go with some 320. Let's do it. Thank you, everyone, for all the positivity. We're doing 4H right here. Now, you may not know this. Check this out, Ella. You can go down here and go to the table of contents and go to question 4, and we have 4H. So we could probably do a few of these. Let's look at 4H right here. Now, one big thing you want to have is you want to have the data downloaded. The data is an R data file. We're using a CSV. Let's go look. Here we are. We're using an R data file. The R data file is dataassign1.rdat. Now, this needs to be in your working directory. So make sure you have it. Yeah, so helpful. I agree with Snea right there. So dataassign1.rdat. If I run this right here, boop, I get a bunch of things. That's loading in like a brain into R. So 4H, let's see what it says. And then we can do another one. And then we're going to, I think Maria had another question too. And Brianna, if you have questions, let me know. So what fraction, a number between 0 and 1, of alumni have lifetime gifts to UTs? You're welcome, Dylan. Great job and have a great day. Have lifetime gifts to UTs between these values. So this sounds really complicated, but we have to break it down into, little bits right here. So when we look at this, let's start at kind of one of the most basic things to do. Let's put an R chunk right here so we can kind of look at the question. And then we're going to call this 4H. Now be careful. You need to make sure to put this right here. I suggest knitting your document multiple times. You'll see me do a few of these right here to kind of show how to do some of them. I'll just jump in and put one in here and we'll work the problem. The first thing I want to do is this. One, make sure you have your data. If you don't see your data up here, because we're about to work with the alumni data frame, stop. Nothing's going to run. So make sure you have that data. Try running all chunks above, and it'll run everything above. If you see a bunch of red messages, that's scary right there. Oh no, Snea, you still have your hours, but lost all the points. So now the thing we want to do is we want to call the alumni data frame. Who can put in the chat how to call the alumni data frame? We'll throw some extra points, Snea. Who can put in the chat how to call the alumni data frame? I can add your points back on later if you want. How do we call the alumni data frame? This is the very beginning. Everyone starts out with this like, well, how do I get to the alumni data frame? So I just want to call that alumni. Someone said, bring up the alumni data frame, but do it with code. So the alumni data frame, oh no. If you can find on a stream how many points you have, I'll add back your direct points. So there it is. It's like an Excel spreadsheet. Can you help me with the R basics? I'm not sure when it says Astro. Yeah, definitely. Abigail, we'll be doing, Maria has a question after this too. So Abigail, you got it. We'll be doing that in about 10 minutes maybe. So right here, we want to call the alumni data frame. So how would we call the alumni data frame? So if I want to call the alumni data frame, here's the way to do it. Type 3 letters, and then the autocomplete will kick in. If autocomplete doesn't kick in, it's probably because the alumni data frame is not stored up there. But if you type 3 letters, R will autocomplete with something it has. So we have the alumni data frame, and we've just called it. Now, don't put this in your code or you'll get excessive output. We need to then choose a variable. And so Abigail, good question right here too. How do we get to the variables inside of a data frame? How could I get to LTG lifetime gift UT right here? What do I need to put to connect a data frame to a variable like lifetime gift to UT? How could I connect a data frame to a variable? There's the data frame. There's the variable. What connects them? Great job, Ella, right there. Excellent work. That's it. So we've connected it. Lifetime gift to UT. Notice we've got autocomplete. Here's the thing. Always use autocomplete when available, because even if you don't capitalize like I did there, it'll capitalize for you. Then run the vector to make sure you have it. It might be that you didn't have something capitalized. Make sure you see it. And Abigail, great work too. So now we have right here the vector we're looking at. So it wants to know if people have values between 100 and 1,000. I just want you to write the last part of this code right here just to see if somebody's value is greater than 100. All I want to do is write the next part of the code just to see if someone has a value greater than 100. That's the only thing I'm focusing on right now. So my only question right now is, did someone donate more than $100 to UT over the lifetime? Just write the remaining part to evaluate that. Only write that. So how would I do that? How would I just write that remaining part to see if someone gave more than $100? Ah, yes. Is it including? Great job. I'm throwing 100 points. Yes, you are right. Including those amounts. That is very correct. Don't want to select all the code. So if you notice right here, this gives trues and falses. So now we have if people donated $100 or more dollars. Well, I'll do the next one because it's nice and easy. For the next one, we want to do less than or equal to 1,000. Well, now we have to figure out, here's the hard part. We need to go all through this and see if someone has that they gave more than 100, at least 100, and gave less than 1,000, but including that value. But here's the thing. Instead of looking to see who's true for both, we have a connector. And we would say that somebody gave 100. You've done it. Either they gave 100 or more dollars and they did this. Like they have to do both these things. Like this person has 100 or more dollars given and they have less than this given. So when we see the trues right here, these are people who meet both criteria. When you join something with an and, that means they have to be true for the first and true for the second to get a true here. Like this person, that's a person right there, person 984. This person meets both those criterias. Now here's where it gets, like you would think, really tough, but it's actually really easy. Trues and falses, I know Snea knows this, are what's inside of R's brain. Think of binary. Trues and falses are just what's inside of R's brain. Inside of R's brain, it's just like, well, trues and falses are just this. Trues and falses are just these numbers inside of R's brain. And if you don't know, feel free to say, I don't know. It's a great way to like just practice and you're like, boom, Ella, you're just crushing it right there. They're ones and zeros. So if I were to ask you, what percent of these numbers right here are, like, if I asked you what percent of those numbers are one right there, what would you say to me? If I asked you what percent of those numbers, I got 0, 1, 0, 0. I know, right? It's very important. We practice the basics all the time. If I asked you what percent on line 117, what percent of those numbers are 1? What percent of those numbers are 1? I'll do it as a vector. 25%. So you would just want to take the what of this vector then. If it's 25%, take the mean of the vector. Take the average. Like, well, there's 1 out of 4 that are 1. And remember, all these trues and falses are just 1s and 0s. There you go. Does that make sense, Ella? Since it's just 1s and 0s, we can just say, well, what's the average amount of trues? So that's the answer. There are more complicated ways. I'm not a big fan of this way. This will tell you the positions of the trues. I'm not a big fan of this way. The positions of the trues are, are not there apparently. Oh, I'm doing the mean of that. Can't do them logical. Here's the positions of the trues, and here's the length. Oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. There's the length of the true vector, and here's the length of the alumni data frame. That is, oh. See, even I'm like, what's going on right here? Wow. Length of which, did I not do a parentheses? Oh, haha. Length of the vector, lifetime gift to UT. I would not be a fan of this second way. That is way too much work to a function that's just done. Awesome. Great job seeing us here, Sneh. Anytime, some more points in the chat. So this is 2 ways to do it. I would not suggest the second way. And Ella's already, great job, Ella, correcting it right there. Ella, I'm throwing another 50 points. That was my error. The length of a data frame is the amount of columns in it, which you would think you could do n row of a data frame. So I could have done n row on a data frame, and this will return the right answer right here too. Once again, showing us that there's about 1 billion ways to code this. So you could do, and Ella, great catch right there, because even I was like, wait a minute, that's not the right answer. Because the length of a data frame will be the number of columns, and you could do ncol and get that same wrong answer I was getting earlier, showing that I was actually finding the number of columns. Oh, no worries. I think I'm actually not on live chat. So now I'm actually no longer lagged. I forget sometimes to do live chat. So Ella, great question right there. I think Maria had the next one. Ella, if you have more questions, be like, hey, can you also work this one? But excellent work, tricky questions. But once you're like, I got it. Can we go over how to make a vector from 5 to 10 going by 0.3? I think that's up here. You can search through these. Wait, is it not from 5 to 10? It's up here. We do the vector stuff. Here we go. Here we go. Here's the one right here. Okay, let's put another timestamp here. Keep asking those questions because I think we have 2 more questions lined up after this. So it's open questions after this. I'm going to timestamp this right here. 24 minutes on the dot. BAS 320, question 2A. So let's check this out. Drop those questions in the chat and we'll keep working through explaining the other ones. 5B and 5C, you got it. Thank you, Ella. That's what I like. I like having all the questions work. Let's go check this question out. I'm going to do a thing here. Okay. It's easier for me to get the timestamp on this. Okay, cool. And then 24, 25 now. Okay, let's do this. So let's generate a sequence that starts at 5 and goes to 20 and up in increments of 3. Now, here's the key word I want you to know and things we need to learn for this class. Each of these instructions are called what inside of a function. Each of these things right here are different what. Starts with an A, something you don't want to probably have with people. Each of these things right here would be different what's inside of a function. They're instructions, but we call them this. Things you don't want to have with people. Arguments right there, Ella, great job. These are different arguments. So we have right here the function, and Maria, great job too. We're throwing even crazy points out here today. Sequences, the function sequence, which I think it just gives you 1 if you do this, or 1 to 10. It just gives you 1. So there's some functions that run with no arguments. My function right here, sequence, has inside of it no arguments and just returns nothing, basically. It returns 1. Now, I do want to point out I added a chunk right here by going to add chunk. I like to do my code where I'm going to see the question. It helps when you're trying to teach and explain it. You can also name the chunk 2A. So if you want to come back here at any time, you can search through it. And put a Q before it, so it's Q2A. And there we go. If we're ever searching back through, we can go back down to 4H that we just worked, call it Q4H, or go back up here to Q2A. Really good for organization and kind of moving through your document a little bit quickly. So with this sequence function right here, we need to give it arguments. Now, the format of the arguments are from equals to equals and by equals. Now I'm going to leave this like this. That's not how we're going to write it. But with the from, to, and the by, I want you to tell me, and just look at the format. I want you to tell me what this will evaluate to on the screen. What does this code create? Just look at the structure of it. And I want you to tell me what this code creates. So just tell me the output of this code in the chat right now. What does 131 create? And then I'm going to, while you're doing that right here. So length and by are different ones. Good question right there, Ella. I'll show that here next. Keep asking those questions. I'll show length. Length is an optional argument that has no default. And it actually overrides by. So length and by should not be used together, because if you say go like from this to this by this, but then if you say length of this, the length controls how many elements are returned. So length is an argument that controls how many elements are returned in a sequence. So really good question right there. And I'll show that here in a moment. What does this create? What will 131 create? So let's plug in from 1 to 3 by 1. So what would that output if I say go from 1 to 3 by 1? Like start at 1, go to 20, and go by this amount. But don't do the 523, which is kind of the answer to what we're doing there. So what would this create right here? What output? And I don't know is a great answer, don't worry. But boom, Ella right there. 1, 2, 3. As easy as 1, 2, 3. We got it. And there's a lot of other ways to get 1, 2, 3 like this. That creates the integer sequence 1, 2, 3, but via a different format. That is just integer sequence 1 to 3. So you can do a colon right there to do a sequence of numbers. But we use sequence a lot of times to do the more complex stuff. Now, the default is up here. I'm showing you the default order right here. But you could just say start from 100 and go by equals 10 and do length equals 2. Now just think for a moment and see if you know the answer to what this will output. Just think what you're telling the computer to do. Start from 100. So that's the starting number. You will report that number. Go by units of 10 and only report 2 things. The length tells it what amount to report. So we have to kind of eliminate like a 2 here, but we're going to go from 100 by units of 10, like that's the increments of units we're going. Boom. And if you know what it outputs, you know why you're doing it. That's exactly it, Ella. Great work. So when you think about this one up here that we have, it kind of says what it wants, and we can call the names of the arguments to help make a little more understanding. So we can make a sequence right here going from 5 goes to 20. So it goes to 20, and then it goes by increments of 3 right here. And there we go. So that is a sequence that starts from 5, goes to 20, and goes by 3. You don't have to use the default order. This is where things, if you understand what I'm going to show a little more interesting things right here. Please don't code everything I code. Please don't code all that I write. I do tons extra. Don't do everything I write. I'm just showing examples. So think about what the answer to this question is. One of these is the answer. Some of these are just me showing things. Like this will break your code. If you put this in your file, it'll break. Yeah, Ella, great job. Or Abigail, great job right there. Ella, that works too. That's using the default order. Is it 0.3? Or is it 3? Yeah, it's. Be careful. You have a 0.3, I think. So Ella wrote sequence, and it'll use this order that we're using right here like this, and it'll do that. So confirm with your output, and I think it's 3, not 0.3. But there's other ways to write it, like sequence 220 by 3, and going, what is it? I can't think of the one, from 5. But be careful, this gives the same output. I would not suggest doing that because someone might think, oh, this right here. Ooh, I will throw 100 points if anyone knows what this is going to give. Now, this is tougher. So what will this code I wrote on line 73 output? And we'll change topics here in a second. But what does line 73 do? So it's going to use the default. It's going to use the default order of from to by. So it'll break. It'll break. It's going to break because it can't go by 5. It's going to say I can't go by units of 5. So Charlie might know. Yep, it's breaking. So the by 5 is breaking it. And we have to go here and put a minus. And now the code will work. Because if you're going from 20 to 3, you'd have to what values each time you did it. If you're going from 20 to 3, and this is not the right answer, but if you went from 20 to 3, you would have to what to get to 3 from 20. So that's why the code said, you got the wrong sign over there. So think about if you're going from 20 to 3, the by units would actually have to be negative. Does that make sense? You'd have to actually subtract. So this will give 20, 15, 10, 5. 20, 15, 10, 5. It will not report a number after that. 20, 15, 10, 5. If you understand this, you understand the sequence argument, the sequence function really well. Yeah, and Charlie knows right there. Charlie giving some great stuff right there. If you try to say sequence, let's say from equals 20 to equals 100, that'll give you 20 to 100 in units of 1. It'll default to a 1. And then if you say by, you change by to units of 5, there's by 5. And then if you say length, it'll get mad at you and say you can't do that because they're conflicting, too many arguments. So kind of some neat stuff right there, seeing how we can work with the code and break the code. And it really comes down to just practicing and saying, like, do I know what this will output? So great job right there with the sequence, and probably that I hope helps with the other stuff. And great job right there, Brianna. Awesome work. Cool. These things right here, we can check those out, but let's go do another question. Awesome. Drop those questions in the chat. We only got a few questions online right now. The next question was, it might be Ella's question. Let me see if I find it. Make sure we tell you all the questions one right here. No, Abigail had one. Can you help me with the R basics? I'm not sure what to look for when it asks, show row 28 in the customer transact on the screen, what amount spent for this transaction? Awesome. Let's go talk about the activity and talk about certain rows. So 33. BAS train and tool 1 if you're here. Activity 1. If you forgot to ask questions. Showing rows. Let's check this out. And drop more questions. We got a few more ready to go. But if you're wondering about anything 201 through 2475, let's do it. Here we go. So we're using, let me go over to activity 1. Intro to R. So we're just going to load up. Let me go out of here. Okay. Can you help me with how many individuals have a distance 0? Remember to use, yeah, Maria, we can do that. Definitely. Let's check that out here. So let's talk about how to show. We got a billion things open right now. Let's talk about how to show a certain row. There's lots of ways to do this. When we're talking about showing a row, we're probably working with a what. So when we're getting a row, we're probably working with a what. What usually has rows in it? What do we call these things over here? What is calls? Calls is it's not a data. Kind of is. It's a data something. What do we call this thing? Alumni. It's a something. Does it say it? Oh, it says it down there. If you can read that, you got better eyes than me. Data frame. Ella, you got it. It's a data frame. A data frame is a two-dimensional object that has rows and column space. So we were reviewing this earlier. If we go here to, let's say, the alumni data frame, and I'm currently in just a blank R script. If you want to just write some free code, you can always just write in an R script. There's no chunks here. It's just writing code all the time. And so we're going to do a $sign now, and we are actually getting a zip code right here. So all we're viewing is every single alumni's zip code. There you go. So any of these will give you their gifts to UT. This is how much lifetime gift to UT. These are all the donations that people made to UT. So let's say, like the question said earlier, I'm kind of doing a spin on this question right now, a spin on it. The question was, here we go. I'm not sure when it says show row 28 on the screen, what was the amount spent for this transaction? So let's say we want to look at person 28 in the alumni data set. So if we want to look at person 28 in the alumni data set, how do we get positions? And I'm giving a hint. I call these position brackets and put them in the chat right now. How would we go to positions on anything? Like if I've got right here the numbers 1 through 100, how could I get the 20th number on this? So what would I use to get like the thing in the 20th position? So whenever you hear positions, like, oh, we need these things. So always these. So what would we use to get positions? Great, Ella, just crushing it. I'm throwing 100 points. Ella, keep it up. So now this will get us the 8th number. Ooh. Oh, because I trying to do it on that. There we go. That needs to evaluate. I was trying to get 1 to 100, but the 8th element of 100. So I'm taking from the sequence 1 to 100, evaluating it, and then taking the 8th element of that sequence. So if we go to alumni, the problem we'll run into is, one, that's not what we want. I think it's returning the 8th column. Alumni has 2 dimensions. And like SpongeBob said, I want to rock. So think of rows, columns. So when you think of the dimensions right here, this is the row space dimension. This is the column space. I wrote rock there just to remember, I want to rock. Rows, columns. The first one you put in here is the row space, and the second one you put in is the column space. So think about this while we're talking about this. What would you input here to get the 27th customer? You would do alumni, square brackets, what? So you'd want to go down here. We see that it should be a male in this area code, the 865. So that's who we should be talking about right here. So what would we put here to get the 27th person? The first part I think is the easy part. The first part being, well, person 27. But then the second part is where some coding knowledge comes into play. If you want everything, which we'll get at the moment, you'll just leave that what? See what people say. This class I'll usually wait longer. I want us to get through as many questions as we can get through today. Thank you so much. Lots of people today. So if we want everything for the 27th person, we just leave that blank. Spaces it reads through. So now, great job, Ella. All the information right there on the 27th person. But what if it said, I just want the lifetime gift to UT? So if we just want their lifetime gift to UT, we can actually put the name of the column, LTG to UT. And that's how much they donated. So right here, you notice we can actually call the column name. I don't know which column number that is. I could code to find out. It's number 64. Nope. You can code. You can say call names of alumni. There's the column names equals LTG to UT, and then which. That is column number 58. That was close. I knew it was partway through. So you could call it via the number of the column, or much easier to call the name. You could also, interestingly enough, use this code right here. It's a little ridiculous. You could use that code also, but I just did it to find what column number it is. You can also look through and find it. But probably the best way, if you know the name of the column you're dealing with, is just to take that name. And you could have searched through and grabbed the name. We could have also looked right here and saw that it was 58. But this is a word right here. So Abigail, does that make sense right here? This would be for the 27th person in that data frame. So this is the observation, the row of the individual. So that's the row they're on. So if we go down here to person 27, I think we got to go over one page. Here we are. What? I think there's more columns than that. Wait, should we not see all the columns? There's more than 50 columns. What's going on? I have no idea what's going on today. But with all this right here, we can see the different columns. LTG to UT. No, it's not getting it. You disappoint me every day. But with this right here, we can see how to get the 27th individual and certain values for them, all their values, or grab certain rows. The big thing to know is that data frames are 2-dimensional, but vectors, like if I just have the numbers right here, like these numbers, that is going to be a 1-dimensional thing. And I would just call right here the second number, or I would call whatever number I want to call, like the 4th number. Every time I add the R data to my 320 folder, it disappears. We might need to hop on the Discord, take a look at that. That's weird. It should just load in. Ella, we can take a look. Great job working early on it. Maybe we could, it should just go into there and drag drop. Usually on a computer, it usually works. But yeah, no, let me know. You could also, Ella, do the font. No, you have to knit it, so you probably want to get in the folder. Let me know, Ella. We might need to jump to the Discord and take a look. But great questions, Ella. It shows up and I can load it, but then it goes away. We might need to take a look. If you're free between classes, listen to that one so much today. We'll take a look right here, Ella. Or Ella, do you have a second right now to jump on the Discord? And I'll go to, are you on the Discord? Because that's the easiest way for me to jump into a call real quick. And I can do a quick, jump to the main screen. We have one. Thomas Jolly had a Minecraft server, like a UT Minecraft server. If you want, Brianna, reach out to me and you're on the Discord. Message me on Discord and just say hi. And then I'm gonna go to the main screen and we'll chat on the Discord real quick. Like if you screen share, I can probably diagnose it pretty quick. I've started doing that during office hours. I think it really helps out, and it's really easy on the Discord. Just be like hi on the Discord. Like message me and say hi. So just like click my name and say hi, and then I will jump in. I'll call you and I'll jump to the screen so we're not streaming it, and then we will solve the problem. And then we'll do more questions here. Let's see. 201. Yep. Wait. Send me a message to another student real quick. And let me grab a playlist and let me go check this out. So throw a message right there and we'll check it out. Playlist. Oh, hearing all the beeps. Visualization assignments. And copy link address. What? Here we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, awesome. Let me say hi. Okay, I'll hop out of the call. Let me jump to the main screen. We'll be right back. We are back, everybody. We got the problem solved. We are good to go. Thank you so much, Brendan and Charlie and Ella. Great to see you here. We got a question here. I think, did Maria have one next? Let's do the next question. Ella's wondering about 5B and 5C. I think we're doing those next. Let me know right here. We have 5B and 5C. And then how can I find the column name and number that contains industry? So for industry, so Abigail's question right there, industry, I believe, is named industry. So make sure in that column space to do comma, quote, industry. And Abigail, have you checked out, was the distance one? Nice. Oh, did we do that one yet? Don't remind me. Double remind me on it. I'm like, which one do I do? So make sure to put the quote and then industry. And then we do have the help video from last night, but we can go over that more in depth. And so we have 5B and 5C, I believe. I need to write these up. 5B and 5C. Let's go check it out. So drop those questions in the chat. Let me take a note right here on the timestamp. So 49 minutes in. BAS 320, question 5B. And hey, Kayla, can we use the bar chart that you did yesterday? And of course. Of course. I think you don't have to turn those in. So you should definitely check out those bar charts and how to use them. We're doing the assignment right now. So let's go check out the assignment. 5B and 5C. 5B and 5C. Okay, here we go. So we're dealing with the alumni data set. Make sure when you do these that you have the alumni data set up there. The alumni data set is loaded in with the environment, data 1320, data assign 1. It's up there somewhere. Let's go check it out. Here it is right here. Make sure this is loaded in. You can run all chunks above, but you need to have everything in the working directory. Double check everything. And don't worry, this is probably one of the biggest problems people run into. I've had people who try to start the assignment the night it's due. It doesn't load. They can't even start the assignment. I've had someone say, I've been trying to get this to load for hours and nothing's working. And the easiest thing to do, just jump in a call. We'll get it fixed. And there's going to be problems. There's going to be stumbling blocks. Don't worry. That's how we roll when we code. So with this right here, with question number 5, now that we have alumni loaded in, we can access it. So I'll go back about how many levels of Greek are there. We have 1 level of Greek right here. So add a column, first little work here, add a column called Greek that is initially a copy of fraternity sorority. Okay. We're going to put in a chunk right here. Chunks allow us to do code inside of an RMD file. And so we add in that chunk, and I always like to give them a name like Q5. So if we came back later, we could go find chunk Q5. Oh, we have 2 chunks named Q5. That's bad. Starter work. You cannot have 2 chunks named the same thing, and you find that out when you do that, and it won't let you knit and saying 2 chunks have the same name. It's like having a chapter 2 in a book and a chapter 2. You can't have the same chapter. You have to have different names for them. So we have right here question 5, starter work, and I'll kind of explain. I got the code 5. Oh, nice. I got the code. Oh, I don't think it'll be integer 0. So great work, but we'll get it fixed up right here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from the alumni data set, the variable is it fraternity sorority. And so this is what fraternity or sorority is someone in. It's just a bunch of like alpha, chi, delta. And we're going to store this into alumni $sign Greek. Now, what I want you to think about is this is not auto-completing. Right now, there's 79 columns of data. There's 79 variables in this. Does that make sense? 79 variables. Or like different things we collected. Once I do this, it's going to put a new column in there, which is kind of a recopy of the old one. And you'll notice there's now 80 columns of data. So now there is Greek at the very end of this because I created this. So this stores into the alumni data set into the variable Greek, which did not exist prior to this, and stores the information from alumni, fraternity, sorority. So we have created it kind of a copy of a variable. And so let's see right here. Let's see if we get integer 0. Integer 0 means a vector that's an integer vector of length 0. Ah, nice. Yep. Was there a typo in the name? Great work right there. We want to know. And so here's what's really good right here. The levels vector tells you the names of the things. So if you want to know, and so we're adding another chunk. So Q5B right here, name the chunk. You don't have to, but I like to, so we can come back here later and be like, oh, Q5B. I remember that question. So when you think about this right here, we want to know what are the different answers to the factor variable. Remember, a factor is a categorical variable, and factors have levels. So the levels function lets you look at the levels inside of a factor, which are just the different answers. This is not how many people reported answers. It's just how many different answers are there. And you can see some of them here, like zeta tau alpha, UTK, alpha epsilon pi, all these different things right here. So we want to go to alumni, and we want to ask, what are the different levels of Greek life? And those are the different levels. Now, here's a good way to check to make sure you got the right answer. So, Ella, we're going to confirm you got the right answer here by doing the following. Ella says the answer is 40, and look, there's omega psi phi. And so that is the correct answer. Great work. This didn't really get us the answer, though. We had to scroll through code. Imagine there's way more things to search through. But imagine we threw like, is that it? Is that it? Is that it? What if we did a logical check and asked, is the level equal to this? Now, when you do a logical check, equals, it will return back trues and falses. So you can see right there where the true is. And we could kind of, once again, go through here and try to find it and be like, okay, that's about it. 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. Right answer again. But there's an additional code we need to know. I take a huge note on this. The code we need to know is called which returns the positions of the trues. So here's a basic thing I want you to think through. If we have a code like this with which, and we take the vector of false, 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 true, false, false, what will this code return? 100 points on the line right here. What will this code return when I run it? So this right here, this which, is going to look at this vector and return the position of the true. So it's a good idea to remember, okay, which tells me the position or positions of the true. So what will this code return right here? Because we've already got a logical vector on here, but let's do a small example of it to make sure we know what the code does. So which returns position of the trues? Returns 4, exactly. Great job, Ella, right there. It returns 4 because the true is in position 4, because you can actually write trues and falses by just writing just a T. It'll return right there, that. If you put a true right here, it'll return 4 and 5. It'll tell you where the trues are at. So all we're going to do, and if you want to make it easier on yourself, is you could store this into X. X is just a logical vector now. And you could then just ask, which X? Which just tells you which of those are true. I think I got 5. Oh, nice. Yeah. Here okay, awesome. Well, we'll just do 5B for this one. Then we'll do 6 instead. I think that's a good switch right there. And great questions. You're almost done with the assignment, it sounds like. So we'll do 6 instead next and drop more questions. I think we got some more to do right here. And then Maria, did you have a question? We'll do that one next. But great job. So yeah, that's how we do it right there. That's how we use the which. Let's put a break in the video. We'll come back and do question 6. Let's do it. Wrong button. Let's see right here, a little music. Get the break in the video. And that was 5B right there. Let's go check out question 6. Making good time today. BS 320. Question 6. So let's go do this. Let me give some assignment one here. Did you say we didn't turn in the activity? That is correct. There's a quiz, but practice. Try getting the code to work. Try new things. Ask questions. You'll spend way more time, stuck if you don't ask questions. I've wished I asked more questions. Funny enough, as we go to question 6 right here, I one time went to Dr. Petrie, and I remember some of the first questions I asked him. In 320, I would expect my students to know. And I was teaching 320, and I was asking him questions that I would expect students to know, maybe about halfway through the course. And I'm glad I asked him. But you know what? I wish I had asked him sooner. So let's ask questions. Here we go. 20 points right there. Rename the gender code column to gender. Okay, so we got a gender code column. We need to rename it. Rename its levels to male, female, and unknown, and print to the screen a frequency table of this recoded gender. You really got a bunch of tasks right here. Task 1. Rename this to gender. So task 1. Rename its levels. Task 2. Task 3. Don't try to do it all at once. You know how we code. Little bits. So we code right there in little bits. Don't do it all at once. So how could we rename a column? Okay, so we need to find what column it is. So the gender code column, it's actually really easy to find. It's in position what? Pretty easy to find. The gender code column is in position what? So what position? Like what, is it the first? Is it the second? Is it the third? Where is the gender code column? It's in the first. Great job right there. It's in the first. So if only there was a way to look at call names of the data frame. So call names is a code that tells you all the column names. I think names will also do it too. I prefer call names for data frames. You could also go here to names of the data frame and look at the names. But we don't want all the names. We just want the name in position 1. So what should I add to this to only look at the name in position 1? So how could I only look at the name or call names? They work the same on this. I think names is more for like tables, and call names I think more is for data frames. Both I believe will work 100%. There's just so many ways to code things. So how could I only get the name in position 1? I only want the first name. So I only want the first name. How could I only get that first name? Like let's go to positions in the call names vector and only get that first one. How could I go to that position? Only the first position. So this is where we always want to think, how do we get positions? Is there a way we could hop on Discord? Yeah, Maria, let's do that next right here. I think that's been a huge help. Truthfully, when I hop on Discord with people, like it usually just like we solve it like that. We just figure the issue. Close, so close. Ella, great work at there. So you might be able to do it that way. So the return on this is one-dimensional. Even though it looks two-dimensional, it's just a list, a line of stuff. Does that make sense? So this is a one-dimensional object. So we do this. Does that make sense right there? It's a one-dimensional object. So we're just going to go to the first name. So column names is going to return the column names, and we're only going to return the first column name because that just returns a vector of column names. So we have here the column names, and we're only getting the first column name. And guess what we can do? We can store into it, and we can just write gender. Ooh, not there. And now it changed. If you go back and rewatch the video right there, you'll notice it changed like that because I overwrote the name of it. So you can say, go to the first column name and overwrite it with the word gender. And so now we've overwritten that column name with it right there. Rename its levels to male and female. Now, what function do you think we'll use to look at the levels? To look at the levels of this renamed variable, what function do you think we'll do? To look at the levels. So just tell me the idea of a alumni $. That will create a new column called gender. So that kind of will do it. It'll append to the data frame. It's not a horrible way to do it, but it doesn't do exactly what the assignment asks. It achieves a similar goal that will append. That'll append to the data frame another column. I'll show you right here real quick. Because I had to reload the data to make this gender code again. So what yours will do, and which was, I'd do it this way. I don't want the graders to take off points. Watch what happens when I run this code right here. We'll get 81 variables because this will create the new column gender code, which has the information from new column gender that has the information from alumni gender in it. The first line 216 renames the column, and this right here, which actually would have a problem now, creates new column gender. Does that make sense right there? Ella, really good questions. Yeah, I would do it line 216 way. Truthfully, if you're working for a company, it doesn't matter. Rock knows. It doesn't matter. Yeah, just for the assignment, like in the spirit of it, to understand how to rename columns. Because when you don't want to like grow your data frame if it's just a repeat, it really doesn't matter though. Probably if you said the graders took all points, I'd be like, oh, let's give them back. Same sort of work. So task 2, we need to look at the levels of the variable right here. So let's go to the levels of a variable. And now we're going to look at the levels of what? So we need to get the variable from the data frame. Once again, we're going to go to the data frame, alumni, and then we're going to get the variable inside of it and go to, well, if you notice, I don't have it renamed yet. So we're going to just do this and run everything above. I'm just remaking my code. So now it looks like it should. And there you go right there, gender. So I was just kind of fixing the code, and this is how I would do it. There we go. Make sure your code runs, Run your code every time. Try knitting your assignment right now if you haven't. If it doesn't knit, there's a problem, but we'll find out and we'll fix it in time. These are the current levels. FMU. No, right. I do too, to be honest. One of my favorite sound effects. It was thanks to students. They're like, you should put some rock on here. We're like, yep, let's get it. We have a few others we need to put on here. So now we want to overwrite these. So kind of like we did just on line 216. What do you think I should do to overwrite it? So what do you think I should do to overwrite this? Because we're almost done with it. We're really close. What do you think I should do to overwrite it? Like to store into it? Like this is this currently. And then I want to kind of store into it. I want to like overwrite. I want to say, don't use those 3 things. Use these 3 things. I'm going to overwrite those things. Say, no, those don't exist now. I'm going to tell you this is this, this is this, this is this. Here's your 1, 2, 3 things to use. So how are we going to then overwrite? Look above and think how we're going to like store into that and overwrite it. What will we do? What will be the step to kind of store into that? Ella, you are right. And you see the 3 positions, you put the commas and everything. That top tier answer. If you notice, it goes FMU, so female, put the commas here, male, and unknown, I think was the last one. There we go. And then I would probably I always look at things after I create it. And if you look at overwrote it, it actually overwrites and changes the value. So you can recode data really quickly in R. You do like find and replace in Excel. Like you're like, oh, person wrote it this way. You can just like, here, let me recode this. Okay, now we've recoded you could recode thousands of values really quickly. So you don't have to worry about find and replace. That's kind of your find and replace right there. And it's recoded the whole vector for you with all of that. A frequency table. Now we're on to the easy part. Because all we're doing is making a table of these values. We looked at the levels of these values. So now that we know the levels, like the possible answers, instead of looking at the levels, just make a table. If we knew how to spell table, that's the only challenge of the day. There we go. Is that making sense? And Ella, great job working ahead. Says it's a factor. So is it this line of code's not working right here? It might be. Let me try this real quick. Did you get this error? I'm purposely trying to create an error. Can you send me a screenshot? Errors in levels, temp value, number of levels differs. So, okay, so I see what it is. So it's getting mad about, which it shouldn't. What? How did that work? Okay. You must be missing a comma. So I've replicated your error. Run table on this, and do you get 3 values? I appended double on there. That's going to be a problem. Let me fix this. Okay, that's fixed. There's that. And that's the code that's breaking, right? Let me copy paste it. Then I'll tell you what to write right here next. Okay, that works. Try running just this code right here, Ella. Run that code right there. You might be accessing a column that doesn't exist. And then you should see the 3 levels down there. Does that make sense, Ella? So you should see the 3 levels. Just highlight that code or run the code I put in the chat and tell me if you see the 3 levels. Well, if you run it before you change it, and don't leave stuff like this in here. You got to watch out because I'll code things and people will leave them in and get excessive output. You should see this. Is this what you see if you put line 217 right there? I'll leave it on the screen so you can try to... but make sure it's that. You might have changed something earlier on, but it sounds like it doesn't have the same levels. And I'm trying to think why. It gave you like a million columns. Can you send me a screenshot of it real quick? Send me your screenshot of your most recent output and I'll take a look. I can probably diagnose via screenshot. I tell you what, we're going to hop over here. Maria, are you currently free to jump on the Discord? And if Maria's still here, I'm going to jump on the Discord real quick, go over there and answer questions. I think Maria said, was it not? I think so, right? Sometimes here we go here. Was it not? Awesome. Okay. Send a picture, Ella. We're going to head over to the main screen here real quick. And I'll be right back here, everyone. Stay tuned and drop those questions in the chat. Be right back. We are back. People are fixing problems, doing some great work, working ahead. We put some stuff in the video already. Yes. I was went over to look at Ella's thing and I was reading the screen and getting things right. And I was like, oh, she already fixed it. Fixed the problem. Yeah, there's no undo button inside of R, so it's really easy to make mistakes. And I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's working ahead. We've already got some great stuff in this video right here. A lot of 320. If you have 201 questions, let us know. But I've been hopping on the Discord lately, especially with slower office hours to help people out. But really, I've helped, I think, 4 or 5 people today just by jumping into a Discord call for probably 3 to 5 minutes. And usually we just figure out the problems. Like, okay, here's this on the screen. What's the issue with this? And then we just get it working. We get it solved. We'll see what people are saying. What other questions do we have? Awesome. Yeah, I had to go back and yeah, sometimes just rerunning the code. Like, you should watch my classes. Like, let's just rerun the code and then it'll work. And you'll be like, oh, just rerun the code. And then just like, I've literally had moments where I'm just like, I just want my head to hit the desk and be like, what went wrong? The smallest of things can make things go crazy. What other things should we do? Ella, I think keep asking those questions. I'm looking to see right here. We've covered Abigail's questions. Brendan swung by. Good to see Brendan here. And what other questions are there? And I think what time office hours are? I think they're already over maybe, but I'm just continuing on. We've had some really good, no, they go till 5. I put them right up to the next class. I'm always good like that. Let me put my office hours right up too. Because if we could do 7, that'd be great. You know what? I think that'd be great too. Let's put a note right here and let's do number 7 and get most of the assignment done. Lots of great help in this video right now. And 201, any other class, you're always welcome to join in. BS320, question number 7. Let's go check this out. Okay, we've got some subset stuff. This is the tough stuff, and this is a tougher assignment. So let people know there's lots of hints because truthfully, people say the class gets easier. No joke. This class, a lot of people tell me it gets easier. So let's do the really tough one right here. Create a subset called sub. So frankly, this is task 1. So I'm going to put this here as tasks, and we're just going to talk to this as task. Task 1 of alumni who graduate with this, with the degree grad year between this and this, including those years. Okay. And 2, so that's task 2. And so that's task 1. And 2 who donated to UT. And those people who have values greater than 0. And 3 whose majors are. Okay. If you think about this in tasks and do it in parts, it's easier. And then we got a task 5 right here. Keep this. Keep the columns this. Okay. Okay. So there's a lot of work to be done. Lots going on. I'm going to extend the screen because we won't really need to plot stuff. But there's a lot of tasks. Break it up into little bits right here, and we can do this. I think, people get scared by this, and they're like, there's so much to do right here. I have no idea what's going to go on. But we need to create a subset called sub. What do you think that means we're going to do right here? We're going to create the object sub, and we're going to what into it? Just tell me the one thing we're going to do right here. We're going to create the object sub. That's going to create an object right here, and we're going to what into it. I'm going to call my chunk a name. I'm going to call it Q7. And I did this with the plus chunk to create my chunk of code right here. And so what are we going to do? Ella, you are perfectly on track. That's the perfect answer. And so this will subset nothing, but that's what we want right now. So we created, that's a graphical error. Don't worry, don't freak out. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. World's not on fire. So it says there's nothing to subset. That's fine. We kind of got the idea going on here. But when you do subsets, here's what we need to think about. We need to ask, what are we subsetting? Next, we need to ask, what conditions? And then what columns will be selected? So if you notice, what are we subsetting? So that's our structure we're going to use to help us out to remember what to do. And those are all different arguments. We got 3 arguments. So my first question would be, what are we subsetting? What are we going to subset right here? What data frame are we subsetting? So the first question is, like, the first thing I'm going to tell it is, you got it? Yep, alumni. So now what's good is the code will actually run now. But that just creates a sub of everything. We didn't tell it to do it's everything. So we didn't tell it conditions, right? So we just said subset alumni. It said what? You just took a subset. And they're like, what do I mean? Just take it all. We need conditions now. And be careful. This is where I made mistakes early on in my coding, is the conditions are the next comma. But if you do another comma, you will leave the conditions. So don't do another comma until you finish the conditions for which you are subsetting on. So now the first condition right here is alumni who have graduated between this and this. This is kind of two tasks. So we need, including these values, so after this, and let's do a task 2A, task 2B before this. Okay. So alumni who graduated after this, including. So I want a degree grad year. What? Don't worry about writing degree grad year. I'm going to copy paste it to make sure I make no typos. I want a degree grad year. What? If you're doing this along with me, you'll probably see the end result, but run it each time. People who try to copy down what I write often make a typo, don't have things capitalized the right way. If you notice, I'm doing a lot of copy paste, a lot of autocomplete. We want degree grad year what? So it needs to be after, but including 1992. After, but including 1992. Degree grad, yeah. Ella, you got it. There we go. And it runs. So, and look, wait, the subset got smaller. If you take a look at the subset, it's no longer the full data frame. It's now 20,000 rows. But we're not done. We need to say, and, so what should we put? Just a quick symbol in the chat. What should we do? No, I just like, and that's awesome. Brianna right there, 100 points for all that positivity right here. Love it. It says I have an unexpected symbol in that chunk. Maybe because of all this stuff we've written here. Ella, do you want to copy paste your code to me in the Discord? Just send me a Discord message with your code. I can copy paste it into mine. Just take the code you have and just copy paste it in the Discord, and I'll grab it. And so that way it's not in the stream. Like people would have to piece together what we write. I mean, I'm going to show it, but I usually, if you send me code, send it in the Discord. Okay. Oh, you don't have a closure on your thing, I think. I think the only issue is you don't have a closure. Your code's going to look basically like mine. And then there it is. So you're missing a closure on your end bracket. If you notice when I highlight here, it shows that this is closed on it. So just a closure on the end bracket, or the end parentheses, I should say. So that ends the function right there. So make sure to end the subset to say this is the end of the subset function. That stops the function from running, and that should fix it right there. Great job. There's so many little things that can happen. And so now we want to still be inside of this, right? We want to still be working on it. I just destroyed it. Ignore that. And so now we need to do another condition. How will we tell it to do another thing? I'll copy paste this in here for you. I'm going to copy paste this to you. Just take this right here and try running that. That should run. I could take a look here in a little bit if it's not running at all. Try. Oh, I think you got it fixed maybe. If not, I copy pasted my code. That will work. So now we want to do another condition, right? How could we tell it and this? How could we say and this? I'll write the condition. Once we figure out how to say, well, we want people who have a grad year that is greater than or equal to 1992, and they need what else? So we're on to step 2B right now. We have to give them another thing. We have to say, we want you to have a degree grad year of this, and there's the and right there. And I'm going to hit enter. I like doing this because it's going to do a sub-indent. This is a good way to tell that I'm still in the conditions because it's sub-indented to say you're still doing conditions right here. And we want degree grad year not greater than or equal to 1992. We want less than or equal to 1998. Now watch as the subset up there gets even smaller because less people will meet this criteria. These are only people who graduate with degree grad years between 1992 to 1998, inclusive of those years. So now we're on to people who have donated from UT to UT. So what do you think we need? Well, it kind of tells us. So Ella, I bet you can do test 3. I'm going to give it here 30 seconds for 100 points. Put you on the spot. Don't worry if you get it wrong. But take a guess. What do you think we'll need to add to put in another condition? And then, so we want another condition. And then we want to write that the lifetime gift to UT. That's basically it for that. I'll write that. You got this. Or I'll even do this. And, couldn't find the end. Greater than 0. And what needs to be greater than 0? You got it. What needs to be greater than 0? You got it. Okay, the music line. You got it. What needs to be greater than 0? We'll get those 100 points. Good, tried it. You got it. I think you know it. You're probably coding it on your screen. Yeah, you got it. So now what we should see is this is going to get even smaller because we're subsetting down further, and it did. Once again, we're just going smaller and smaller groups. Last but not least, and this is the tough one, so I'm going to explain this one. This is the tough one. We want people whose majors are either statistics, finance, or accounting. There's a very long way to do this. Here's just going crazy. Here's the bad way. And people have a degree major that is equal to, this is a bad way of doing it, statistics or, where's or? Nope. Use or so rarely. This is a bad way. Notice all the copy paste? I would not do it this way. This should work. And you'll get sub-indents if you indent here, like further sub-indents, because I'm on the or sub-indent. I would not do it this way. I'll show you the right way here in a second, or the better way. Okay, so, don't want that period. Okay. There we go. And so we reduce down further. I would not do it this way. Here's the way I'd rather do it. Rather than writing all this or stuff right here, there's a really powerful way of doing this. And the powerful way would be to say the following. That should not be on that. It should be there. The really great way to say is degree major, and this is a weird thing that people won't know, and we learn in our class, is contained in the vector. And so this says somebody's degree is contained in these values. I'm going to highlight this code here and bring it down here. I'm going to vectorize this. You can double click stuff to put in parentheses. And maybe you prefer the other way, but especially if you have a bunch of things. But that says somebody's degree is contained in this. I'm going to call this sub 2. Reason being is, what do you notice about sub 1 and sub 2? They come to the same conclusion. This one's a little bit confusing because you have to evaluate this as its own thing. If you do it this way, you need to do all these ors as a one thing, and they are this or this or this or this. It's not and they are this or like, because if you don't evaluate here, I'll show you what happens. A lot of people make this error. You get the following. Because now it's, do they meet all these conditions or they're just a finance? Do they meet all these conditions or they're just accounting? But the last condition that I've written this way is they need to have and their major is this or this or this or this. Like this is a full thing right here by having to evaluate. Does that make sense here, Ella? I've got both ways. I would suggest doing it. I don't really love the first way of doing it on the top of the screen right there. But I'd prefer to say someone's major is contained in this. So whatever major they have, is it contained over here? That's the way this is read. So this is read, is somebody's major contained in this vector? Like, and their major is contained in one of these. So we'll be talking about the percent I and percent, probably in a little bit in class today. It's on the topics list. Pretty complicated thing right there. And from here, verify, oh, we didn't do the columns. We need an additional what? We got just enough time. We'll do this right here. We need an additional what now? We didn't get the columns we need. Notice how we have 80 columns? So we'll end off here in a moment, but we need an additional what? And that's my structure I'm using right there. We need an additional argument. We need more instructions for it to tell what to do. What columns being selected can be selected with select equals. And once again, I'm not going to write these. I'm going to take right here. You can actually use single quotes. I'm not a big fan of them. If we want to vectorize that, oh, it doesn't copy them the way we want them to. I would not suggest, oh, we're going to create problems. I would not suggest writing these out. I would suggest copy pasting because if you write, we make typos. And if we copy paste, we'll probably just destroy our code by accident. And so these need to be in words because it's going to look for the column name. And there we go right there. Make sure it has the 768. Did I rerun this? I think I broke it early. There we go. And I'm not selecting the columns there. I could just take my extra argument right here and put it right here. And now both codes are working. I would not suggest just writing down what I have on the screen. There's ways then the later questions are going to have you confirm this. Obviously, don't do both ways. But I try to make my code structured nice so it can be read like subset the alumni data frame, take degree grad year of this and next condition, next condition, next condition, and then select only these columns. The better your code's organized, the easier it is for someone else to read through, and that should do it. And now I think the next ones won't be so bad. Kind of similar questions to what we were asking earlier. And this one, C. Trying to think how much. It's the trickiest, probably hardest one on here. So the order, here, I'll give you a hint for C. You ready, y'all? The way to order a data frame, this is crazy. So we want to go to a sorted data frame. Empty cars is a data frame of cars. And if I wanted to sort this on the miles per gallon, I would have to go in here into the row space and order empty cars based on miles per gallon. And that should do it. And I could do descending, decreasing equals true. And there we go. And then I could store this. So sorted empty cars. And now I've created a sorted version of that data frame. Pretty tricky, and I'll leave this up here since we're almost done with office hours. But that's how to sort something. The order function is a little bit confusing. But in the row space, you put how you're sorting the rows. Does that make sense? So you have to go to the data frame, the name of the data frame here. You have to go to the row and column space and then put the function that sorts the rows. So this says order, like the order we're going to use is the order of the variable m miles per gallon in this data frame. We're going to do it in decreasing order, and then it'll sort the rows. So rather than getting it, yeah, it's a confusing function. It got me a few times. So there it is previously, and then here's the sorted version, and it's doing it in the row space. All that is just in the row space right there for the data frame. And then we're storing the object we created. Ella, great work. I'm assuming you're almost done with this assignment and you have lots of skills. And so we'll be starting class here in about 12 minutes. So I'm going to send out that reminder email. And you're welcome. Thank you so much. We'll be back here soon. Bye for now, everybody. Bye. Back soon.